नमस्कार दोस्तों, और आपका एक बार फिर से ढेर सारा स्वागत है मेरे YouTube चैनल हॉट टॉक पर। और हमेशा की तरह हम आज लेकर आए हैं एक बेहद ही खास मेहमान। वो रिटायर्ड स्क्वाड्रन लीडर हैं विनोद कुमार, स्पेशलाइज्ड इन एंटी टेरर एंड काउंटर इंसर्जी ऑपरेशंस। कारगिल में उन्हें काफी ऑपरेशंस करे हैं, एंटी सर्जेंसी एंड एंटी टेररिस्ट ऑपरेशन में ही हैज बीन इन्वॉल्व। सियाचिन स्पेशलिस्ट उनको बोला जाता है, एंड ही वाज द फर्स्ट वन हु लैंड MI-171VS इनसाइड द सियाचिन ग्लेशियर। सो ज्यादा जितना उनके बारे में बताऊंगा उतना ही कम है, तो हम डायरेक्टली उनके साथ बातें करते हैं। और आज हम बात कर रहे हैं वेस्टर्न हिजेमनी के बारे में। जो हमारी वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज हैं वो कैसे अपने नेशनल इंटरेस्ट को आगे रखते हुए कंट्रीज को पुश करते हैं, मैनिपुलेट करते हैं डिप्लोमेसी के थ्रू, यूनाइटेड नेशन के थ्रू, फाइनेंशियल डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट्स के थ्रू। तो उन्हीं सब बातों पे चर्चा करने के लिए आज हमारे बीच में है रिटायर्ड स्क्वाड्रन लीडर विनोद कुमार। Sir, very warm welcome and thank you. So once again, sir, many thanks and very warm welcome to my YouTube channel Hot Talk. And sir, हमने अभी देखा है लास्ट कुछ since 4-5 months जब से रशिया यूक्रेन का वॉर स्टार्ट हुआ है, रशिया ने इन्वेड किया है यूक्रेन को, and we have seen the Western hegemony since our childhood. I mean, they have used it as a tool for their national interest. In now current scenarios, they push to many countries, specifically United States of America. India पे भी उसने काफी प्रेशर बनाया, and the same way he's doing with the rest of the countries. So sir, what is basically hegemony? How they use this as a tool? What's your opinion?
Historically we have always seen कि this liberal hegemony is the main word. Actually, Western hegemony is basically domination of the world. Actually, when we talk about West now, when we talk about the Western countries, de facto America becomes the leader of the Western countries. Okay, so when we have to think about the foreign policy, अगर foreign policy की बात कर रहे हैं, तो USA का foreign policy ही effectively lead किया हुआ है. NATO has been following, or Europe and US has always been as one block, हमेशा. So Europe का, if you go back, basically even pre-World War I, American foreign policy का cornerstone has been the Monroe Doctrine. James Monroe, on I think it is December 1823, he made one of the ex-presidents. उनका doctrine था कि anything in the Western Hemisphere, that is the Americas or Europe, any country trying to attempt to move into that region will be taken as a hostile action. Basically, उस time पे क्या था, यूरोप और अमेरिका के बीच में हो रहा था, Germany and Spain, Britain trying to move in, then Mexico में, Spain was there, France was there in South America. तो तभी से शुरू हुआ है. This is late 19th century or 20th century. And this Monroe Doctrine has stayed as a cornerstone of American foreign policy throughout, right up to Roosevelt. All the American presidents have followed that policy. So this hegemony part is basically they want to install a unipolar world. They are convinced. The USA or the Western powers are convinced that there is only one way this world should think. That is their way of liberal democracy all over the world. But Americans are great people. There is a flaw in their thinking of the foreign policies that they can impose this all over the world. उनका वो convince है कि हर एक president जो भी आया, I'm talking about 1823 से लेके अब तक, probably one or two exceptions have been Donald Trump or इधर-उधर थोड़ा सा छोटा-छोटा, but invariably this has been the thinking that the world should think like us.
Yes,
the basic fact is the world is different. There are no two human beings the same. So every country is different. Every country has got a culture, their own DNA, eating habits. Everything is different, which has not driven well with the Western world. वो ऐसे ही हुआ है, and we can't fault them because they have always been वो उनका business interest. Everything is interlinked.
Sure.
So starting from वो 19th century से ही उनका thought process यही है. तो वो कुछ अलग नहीं कर रहा है. So उनका that, and then. Now, if you want to think about this hegemony part, our hegemony is basically domination of one thought process. Basically, liberal democracy ही चलेगा, बाकी कुछ नहीं हो सकता. And even this stands against nationalism. Exactly. So, if you talk about a nationalist government, automatically वो thinking process उल्टा हो जाता. You see what is going on now.
Yep, absolutely right, sir. और sir, current scenario में we have seen the same way Western countries, US tried very hard during Russia-Ukraine war. So NATO को भी we have seen how NATO manipulate and maneuver all the things for their own interest. So basically for Western countries, what is the lesson learned for them? How their interest is not being fulfilled, I should say, during Russia-Ukraine invading?
Now, for the future, हमें क्या है? We can only speculate about the future. क्या होगा? We don't know what is going to be the outcome of this Russia-Ukraine war. One thing is sure, that Ukraine has lost out. It is probably the next Afghanistan.
Okay.
Anyway, so basically Ukraine is चारों तरफ से they are in trouble because Russia sees this NATO expansion. Uske liye now the crucial part of the world is we have to inspect the years of 1989 to 1992 में क्या हुआ था. So because see, if you want to predict the future, or if you want to think about the future nobody knows. The past everybody knows. Based on which you can make a thought process of आज का action क्या हो सकता है. So like 89 में क्या हुआ? Whatever, this NATO formation, everything post the Second World War, the country most affected after the Second World War was erstwhile USSR, which lost almost 18 million people. World War II के बाद. So NATO expansion further. So after World War II till 89, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, which was 89, 90, 91, 92, I think the world has to go back to this उस period में जो भी हुआ है. That was the start of the current situation around the world, 89 to 92, because 89 to 92 was the, you know, the Soviet Union collapsed.
Yep.
Then there was these, 91 is, there's a series of incidents which happened. Iran-Iraq war was over. Then Saddam Hussein decided to invade Kuwait. So this was the beginning of the Bush administration.
Yes.
So and even दुनिया को जब देखेंगे now, let's go back to this India-Russia war. Russia-Ukraine war. Basically, the start was 1989 after the collapse of Soviet Union. NATO should have been disbanded. Simple. There is no explanation for NATO, right? उनके website में जाके देखेगा, so it is you can see. NATO expansion. NATO is standing for the what is it called? Added this after World War II, the security of the region. They basically any act of aggression against any NATO member is seen as an act against everyone. And some say Ukraine was a creation of the West. In my opinion, this war, it rests completely on the West, not Russia, because Russia sees this clearly as an existential threat. And so I don't think Vladimir Putin can back down even if he wants to.
That's true.
So, and this NATO expansion again, 1999 में एक हुआ, where they included Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland. There was a summit in Washington where they were all established. And the action plan was they expanded in 1999. Russia kept quiet. 2002, 7 countries more joined. Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia. These are all 7 more countries. And they all joined. And if you bring up the map, these are all on the Western, lining up Russia. So Putin has been asking since 2002, when the second expansion happened, who is your enemy? Technically, I am your enemy. So
that's true.
So इसमें क्या है कि I don't see Russia backing down anywhere. So this future, I think we have basically created another Afghanistan. We means the West through their they basically domination and we have created another Afghanistan.
Yeah, that's true, sir.
Yeah.
Very well said. Or sir, we have seen in recent weeks, there are a lot of head of the states travel to India, specifically from the Western countries. In fact, few of the foreign secretary from the United States. It's kind of, they were trying to push India against Russia. So far, what do you think that how far and how India handled this pressure and how he has responded back to the Western countries? क्या लगता है सर आपको? Have we done good or we could have been better in terms of handling the foreign pressures or Western का जो hegemony है? Are we good? Are you satisfied with the foreign policy what we have adopted so far by India?
I completely think so. And I heard the Indian External Affairs Minister speaking.
Yep.
In the USA recently in his visit, and the defense minister was there in the US. And when he was asked about why is India purchasing oil and gas from Russia, oil purchases, uska clear statement tha. He said, you are talking about India purchasing oil. India's purchases of 1 month is equal to what Europe purchases from Russia in one afternoon.
I think it's very important, though, that we respect other countries' decisions about the issues that they face. You know, India is a sovereign nation. I'm not going to tell India what to do.
I was just reading a report today that in the month of March, Europe has bought, I think, 15% more oil and gas from Russia than it did the month before. If you look at the major buyers of oil and gas from Russia, I think you'd find most of them are...
Yeah, that's true.
So this is one, okay, of course, I personally think that I'm extremely satisfied with every action taken by the government so far.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, we stood out of the situation. We should not have taken sides because India, Russia, we've got several treaties going on. We just re-signed another one for the next 10 years of defense cooperation in 2021. So ऐसा नहीं है कि overnight you can't. And Russia is one country which has always stood by India.
Yep.
You know, if you remember, even 1971 war, I don't think we would have won, but for Russian intervention to take on US and the British forces, which moved it into the Bay of Bengal that time. Indian Ocean mein, they were blocked. So Russia has a trusted friend of India, and हम ये इसकी तरफ देखा जाए तो everything is the correct actions taken, and I really like, honestly, I really like the Indian foreign minister, the way he's been presenting, because end of the day, that's what the West has been doing. The Western hegemonies, they have taken care of their interest. We are at complete freedom to take care of our interest.
Yes. And sir, we have seen many reports, and in fact, in the stats that India imports around 60% of the defense parts or materials from Russia. So it's a part of the compulsion. India cannot take any stand against Russia. That's true. But in the same way, we are, having a lot of imports and a lot of other defense items for United States as well. So ये तो issue फिर दोनों तरफ से same रहेगा ना. Going forward, it could be United States can impose any of the sanction, and whereas the Russia can also maneuver his diplomacy. Parts delay कर सकता है. In fact, we have seen S-400 is going to get delayed just because of the Russia-Ukraine war. So, what is your opinion? What is the way forward? क्या है? Is a double-edged sword, or India should be Atmanirbhar? That's what we are hearing since 2014. आपके क्या opinion है?
Yeah, Pushpa, I think the dependence on foreign countries for defense equipment it's been thrust on us. We of course we are still a developing country. Okay, so one aspect of the Russian military engagement, what we have had is that we've always had technology transfer, right? So even if we want to de-link, we are manufacturing at our own end, like whether it is Su-30s or MiG-29s or every equipment that we have most of the time. 90% of our agreements are technology transfer. Whereas none of it with the West is. They have not agreed for technology transfer, whether it is Apache helicopters, Chinooks, or so.
Yeah.
But again, if you see the spate of visits from the West, whether it is the US Defense Secretary, Boris Johnson, I'm trying to read between the lines. Boris Johnson, this visit, I feel, there was some message or some putting pressure. Maybe some message has been conveyed, maybe within the meetings. We don't know. We can only speculate about that. But the stand of India eventually should be Atmanirbhar Bharat, make in India, and defense as much. Because I think into going forward, you will find the world that unipolar, the hegemony, Western hegemony, or the domination is no more, because the world has gone into its own little multipolar setups. Multiple. So, for example, nobody is talking about North Korea, Kim Jong-un. Why? आराम से बैठा है उधर यार, उसको कोई कुछ नहीं पूछ रहा है. क्यों? Because he's weaponized, he's armed. Simple. The mistake Muammar Gaddafi in Libya did was he disarmed. And where is he now? Same with Saddam Hussein, that whether WMDs were there, not there. So, that's entirely another topic, that oil was one of the biggest interests of the Western Middle East. Otherwise, why would they be in the Middle East? Why would they be interested? So it's all. So energy security is a big, driving factor of many countries. And we have rightly done our energy security with Russia, bringing in this. So back to the equipment part, it is a very, very fine balancing act India has to do at the moment, because we are still not Atmanirbhar Bharat. You have to up there is still a long way to go for sure. We cannot completely manufacture defense equipment. But if you go, but the dependence on the West, other than the helicopters, it's not that heavy.
Oh, okay.
Compared to Russia, right? Our inventory is. But with Russia, we have always had this technology transfer. हमने transfer किया हुआ है. So even if tomorrow they turn around, we can continue manufacturing with spare parts. Okay, you use you create your own.
That's true, sir. Sir, my last question of this discussion, that Russia is becoming closer to China as compared to India, where it has used to be with India. They had very strategic relation with India. Now they are almost, what can I say, the brotherhood kind of feeling what they have, Russia and China. So don't you think so it is going to hurt India's national interest, because Russia will be neutral, and it had been neutral during the China-India conflict, and just because of India is not coming in pressure from the Western countries or their hegemony, they are losing. I mean, India is losing the friends from Western countries as well. So what's your opinion? Russia is going to China, India is losing Western friends just because of India is supporting to Russia. It's complicated, but what's your opinion, and what do you think that it is going to be in which scenario?
Look, my opinion about this is, I don't think India is going to lose too many Western friends in the West, whether it is Europe or even USA, because end of the day, today's world is driven by business interest and market. Everybody has to accept it, and everybody sees it. Like, even if you see whether it was the utterances from France or UK or USA, everybody is sort of cherry about, because again, now one very big thing is that in India, okay, there is a growth. We are still the fastest growing economy. That sells, of course. Everybody wants a pie of that market, right? One thing worrying for me personally is the burgeoning deficit with China. But I see it in the other way, that because there is a spur in manufacturing in India, and they've already linked so badly, so there is a lot of imports. Right now, it is like 126 billion in 2021 with China. Total trade. I'm saying back and forth. So. And with Russia, it is only about 13 point something billion. That's the number I have, which they have agreed to double. See, there is no doubt that this post-Ukraine Russia war scenario is that the fulcrum or the balance is shifting east. This is my opinion. We cannot stop Russia from and that is the biggest worry for the West, is that we cannot stop Russia from getting close to China, because they are pushing them. Yeah. And for Russia, it is existential crisis. I think at the moment, and India has to do this balancing act. हमारे पास और कोई choice नहीं है. But at the same time, then you have the Quad. We have signed this $100 billion trade agreement with UAE. There is another big agreement coming up with Australia. So everything is sort of shifting further to the east, in my opinion. And because the markets are here, this side.
Yeah.
So that's my outlook. You know,
right.
as far as China is concerned, you know, that localized thing has happened. Even they are also struggling at the moment. If you see, after the post-COVID scenario, there are things happening inside China, which the world will come to. So everybody is on the back foot at the moment. And there is realignments taking place. What if tomorrow a scenario happens where just India, China, and Russia becomes one axis? Partners, which Russia can drive.
Yeah.
Then what happens? But then it won't be, the Quad is basically, it's more of a, you know, it's not yet gone full-fledged in the defense.
Yeah, and since this Bush, I'm sorry, Biden जब से आए हैं, and I don't think so it is going to that push which used to be during the Trump era. थोड़ा ठंडा पड़ गया है अब ये Quad वाला. Absolutely.
But, yeah, ठीक है, but you know, even the USA, of course, Biden का is काफी कुछ change हो गया है from the Trump era, because there was a big push for Quad then, because remember, Quad has existed since 2007.
Yeah, I know. It's the idea of Japan Prime Minister. Yep.
So 2017 only they were revived during the Trump era. So this will go. But looking at, if you look at Scott Morrison, his utterances, or the Japanese president, वो जो बोलता है,
हाँ जी,
you can carry on even with a US sort of a silent partner, or you know, reluctant partner.
Yeah.
So end of the day, you have to take care of your own interest. You cannot, India cannot wait for somebody to come from outside and help us.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. And sir, thank you very much. You have responded all the questions and the answer very well, and it was really, what can I say, very meaningful, fruitful, and very educative discussion. So once again, sir, a big thanks, many thanks for coming to my channel, and I'm looking forward to have you many times in the future. Sir,
okay, you're welcome. Yeah.